Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Dave Yoster. I'm the president of the Managed Service Provider Association of America. Today, we have a really special guest with us, and I'm sure you've seen him before. Welcome, Christophe and Gabriel from Sxipher. How are you guys today?
Good. Perfect, Dave. How are you?
I can't complain, thanks. So you guys are actually going to be doing a webinar for us today, and you're actually going to be demonstrating the full potential of your AI penetration testing platform. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Great. Christophe, before we get into the webinar side of things, give us a quick rundown about Sxipher and what the platform does.
So Sxipher is very interesting. It's the first of its kind, basically. We're allowing basically MSP to run a pen testing by themselves. Okay, so we created a software which we'll have the pleasure, to show you today. That actually does that for them. The software is powered by artificial intelligence, deep learning AI with a neural network. So it's a software that keeps on learning, every time you use it. So it's pretty exciting, really. We're redefining a little bit how pen testing is. You don't need anymore to hire, or spend, this big amount of money, to do this. You don't need to make any appointment. You need to do that. You are with your client. You run the pen testing. It is third party, so it serves as a third party, pen tester. It's really nice, very beautiful, very beautiful.
I think we've spoken about this quite a bit actually, and one of the key features that we've noticed and we've taken out of this is that the platform itself, it can essentially run by itself. So once it's set up and configured, you hit the go button and you can run it for as long as you need to run it for, which takes a lot of resources off MSP shoulders, correct?
That is correct, Dave, because I always believed, on a data center. And when you do this, I always believe that the pen testing is like a camera. It's something that you don't need to do like once a year. If you really care about the posture of your network security, you have to run it all the time because the network is living and MSP knows that. Your network today is not going to be your client network tomorrow because people go on the internet, they bring stuff, you got patches coming, you got all kinds of things. And so basically we developed a continuous pen test. And when I mean continuous, it's continuous. So for example, if you start your pen test Monday and then on Wednesday, you add, a laptop into the network, it will discover it. It will say, oh, there's a new laptop. Let me see what's in it. Let me see what kind of exploit you find on it. Let me see if there's something wrong with it. That helps tremendously, the MSP to keep, the posture of the network, up to date at all time.
Okay. Well, I think this is a perfect time to bring in Gabriel and maybe introduce Gabriel and what his role is within Sxipher.
Yeah, so I bring the youth today, because I'm getting there too, It's the way it is, man. But, Gabriel basically managing about 12 to 15 developers. And, he's, pretty much, not tell them what to do, but, guide them in what we need. And, that goes, from AI to, the interface, to the portal, to the website, to everything we do. So, today, Gabriel is actually going to show you, because he's the master of the product, basically, he's going to show you how the pen test works, and I hope you guys, see at the end that it is extremely easy. This is nothing that you will see, how as it goes. You're going to go from adding the client and to basically how to run your pen test, to look at, the data you get from the pen test, look at the report you get from the pen test, and you see that to do this, you don't need to hire anybody. Your staff is perfectly capable of doing this. Perfectly capable of doing it.
Let's have a look at it. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to put change screens, and I'm going to put your platform on the live feed. And Gabriel, if you're ready, then let's jump into this. Is that a good with you guys?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to add the platform to the screen. I'm going to take us off because I don't need to be on it. And then, all right, Gabriel, all yours. So go ahead and let's see what this is all about.
All right.
So the first screen we're seeing here is our overview page. This is going to show you your list of clients that you have and then the list of pen tests that you have running. What I'm going to show on this demo is just some basic overview of the software that we have. So I'll show you how to add a client, what the dashboard looks like, what things you can do on the dashboard, and then the report. So right now I'll show you how to add the client. It's just this big button in the right here, click add client. And then here, you'll just type in some basic information like a name, phone number, country, and address. Type in some now.
Sure.
And then you'll just click add. And then you'll see here, test, the name of the client right here, and it's just been added, and that's it. So to run a pen test on a client, we'll take my new client that I just added. You would just click on the client and then click run pen test. And then here, this is the first step to our wizard, our setup for setting up the pen test. Currently, we run an internal pen test on your local environment, your local infrastructure. This will be expanded in the future to accommodate external, cloud, and all different types of pen tests that you could think of.
So let me stop you there, Gabriel. When you say internal, external, what does that mean for the public community? Because they don't all know what that means.
Yeah, so an internal pen test would be a test being run on the inside of your local network. So think where all of your laptops are, where your PCs are, where your printers are. It's that kind of network. An external pen test would be a test running on the outside of your network. So think your firewall, maybe your websites, any part of your infrastructure that's looking outside or facing the internet. So since we just have the internal right now, I'll click on that one. We have a 3-step wizard for setting up the pen test, which will include more things later as we add more features into our system. So right now we're looking at the scope part of the wizard. This will allow you to put in a name of the pen test, the IP addresses that you want pen tested or not pen tested, and then it'll allow you to select whether or not you want notifications about generated reports. So I will type in a name here. And then I will type in, or I won't type in, I'll just add a range like this. So on this scope area, you can add ranges, individual IP addresses, and all your VLANs, whatever you need to add here. If there's any sensitive, machine on your network that you don't want tested, like a printer, for example, you can add that IP address on the exclude section here, and it won't test.
This section that you're on there with the IP addresses, is it only IP addresses, or can you do it in domain names as well, or how does that work?
Yeah, so right now we only have IP addresses. As we expand our product and add the ability to pen test things like websites and cloud environments, we will add the ability to type in URLs and domain names and everything like that.
Got it.
And if I may interject a little bit, so Dave, this what we recreated here, right? It's a true pen test. So it needs to act and feel like a pen tester, like a hacker. Okay. So basically, when a hacker gets in, the first thing he's going to do is the discovery of your network, right? Because he doesn't know anything. So that's what we're mimicking here. It's like, we just tell him, this is the area where you can play with, basically. So
that makes a lot of sense. I understand that. Okay, great.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, so this report section is the ability to receive notifications on how many reports are generated. This will make more sense a little bit later. As we said, we like continuous pen testing, the around the clock stuff. So this will allow you to get notifications on how many reports have been generated for that. I'll click next. Here is the runtime section of the wizard. So this is where you will set up the start date, the end date, and then time period of the test. So we can, for example, the start date, we can set as the 17th or the 17th here, and we can set a time. So this setting will say the pen test is allowed to start on the 17th of May at 3 a.m. The end date will be the time the test ends. So we can say the 24th at 4 p.m. This means the test will stop running at the 24th of May at 4 p.m. The thing we offer that's, what others don't offer, this is the one thing that this is really good, is the continuous. So if you click that, the continuous will make it run all the time, essentially forever, right? Without any interjection from you. You can also select the time period. This is the specific time of day that the pen test can run. So for example, if you have an office that's a laptop only office, and your employees bring in their laptops at 9 a.m. and then they leave the office at 5 p.m., for example, the pen test would run from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And these hours that are not highlighted, the pen test would not be running, it would be stopped. Obviously, we suggest you do the all day because that will give you 24/7 pen testing. You also have the ability to select the time zone. If you have any clients that are outside of Eastern, for example, or outside of the United States, you can select their time zones here, and that'll make it so our system can recognize and perform with these times that you have here. So I'll click next. Our last step is just a review. This will let you review the name that you've selected, the type of pen test, the scope, any start and date settings, and time settings. After you've reviewed that, you just click I reviewed and then run pen test. Here is the script to run our pen test. Currently, we offer Linux and Mac OS. So this would mean that all you have to do is copy the script. And if you have a Mac computer, you would paste it into that Mac computer. If you have a Linux computer, you'd paste it in there. If you don't have either, we offer a lot of documentation to help you make a virtual machine that's on Linux, where you can then paste the script in. Setting up that virtual machine with our documentation takes maybe 15 minutes. It's very easy and very fast.
You just so basically, guys, what you do is, we have the step by step, and when I mean step by step, is really step by step. So you just have to follow the step, and then if you follow them good, within 15 minutes you get your VM with your Linux on it, and you're done. After that, all you have to do is copy the script on it, copy it there, and your pen test is running. So this is. And I want to stop here for a little bit, okay? This is how simple we made it for you guys to run a pen test. So now you can see, when I said, you don't need to hire anybody else, to do it. You don't need to make it, when we talk to a lot of MSP, trust me, we talk to a lot of MSP, but they make it way too complicated. Like, oh, well, you don't need to do anything. Really, you just have to, follow the step here. As you can see, setting up the pen test on the portal is extremely easy. Setting up the attack bridge is extremely easy. It's a 15-minute process. So there is no need to hire anybody special to do that. Anybody in your team, any tech, even a low-level tech, can actually do this. So extremely easy to do. Very, very easy to do.
So let me ask you a quick question. And Gabriel, I don't know if you can take us back to that little script screen that you had. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put the demo back on there.
I'll take us back there real quick.
And there's a reason why I wanted you to do that. I just want to make sure we understand what this means exactly. Mm-hmm. Right, that screen there, right? So that's your attack bridge. I understand the Linux and Mac OS. I understand that. So if it's a Microsoft system, that's where you build a VM in your network and do it there, right? But just to make sure that this is very clear, that script basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, Christophe, that script downloads the agent to basically start the pen test on the network, correct?
That is correct. That's the one who's going to guide basically your pen test. So once you copy that script onto your Linux machine, this is what's going to do all the communication and set back to the server here, right? And that's what's going to run your pen test basically. That's what's going to allow the communication to happen and run your pen test. That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, and to make sure this is very clear, that is a one-time script that is, you don't have to put it on every single machine, correct?
No. Basically, what we have a lot of people that what they do is they either put it on the server, things that don't restart, or they buy those little nuke, whatever it is, and they put it there and then just leave it. And it's a one-time install. And then if you put it on continuous, like Gabriel did, it just keep on running. It just keep on running and it just keep on generating report. That's what it does. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the important thing to note about a pen test is the point of it is we have to discover, or Genesis has to discover your network and then find whatever exploits or vulnerabilities that your network has, right? So if you were to put this on all of your machines, it sort of defeats the entire purpose of the pen test.
Yeah, so let me guard you with things like that, okay, guys? Because, and I'm doing you a service here, because you hear a lot of things, right now about pen tests. If you go to Google, you can do pen tests. You're like 1,000 companies do it. It's false. A pen test is a thing that run, precisely. Is a things that you run, based on the NIST, and it's very. A pen test is a pen test. Okay, we have to follow, guideline, to run a pen test. Okay, so installing an agent on all the machine, that is not a pen test. Okay, I've seen people, say, I'm sending you an email and you run a pen test. It is not a pen test. And actually, I've seen that with my own eyes. It is not, and does not qualify by any means to a pen test. Okay, a pen test is a method, to pen test, a network that is guided, by the NIST and is guided by MITRE, and it has to answer certain criteria. That's what a pen test is. So when we guide you here, with Genesis, to run a pen test, is we putting, the software into a situation to where a hacker will be. So the hacker, gain access to one of your computer and be like, now have at it. Now you're going to do the job. Now you're going to discover. Now you're going to enumerate. Now you're going to discover the risk, vulnerabilities. Now you're going to try to exploit them. That's what a hacker does. This is the mechanism that the hacker takes to hack you. You don't see it. They'll never tell you about it, but we do have internally pen tester. We have, what hackers, ethical hackers, right? We have some that, did some job, for Azure, for Amazon and everything. So they are extremely professional and very good. And there is a mechanism to run a pen test. You're not running a pen test by sending an email. It's just not happening.
Yeah. Okay? That's a phishing test. I mean, it's not a pen test.
I mean, I've looked at it, I don't know what that is, Dave. I don't know what that is, but that does not qualify as a pen test by no means. That's what a pen test is, okay? It's the recreation of the hackers inside the network. That's how you discover where your exploitable vulnerabilities are. So that was the script, yeah.
All right, take us back here, Gabriel. So we see the tech bridge. So you've run a test. What happens then?
Yep. So once you've installed this attack bridge and you've started your test, you'll see at the bottom here the list of tests, or if you click on the client, you can see the test for that client. It'll say running here, and I'll take you to a test that's already started. So a test on a demo environment here, right? So once you click on the pen test, you'll be taken to our dashboard. Keep in mind this dashboard is being changed currently. We're in the process of making it even better than it already is.
We're actually very excited about that, guys. So you're actually getting a peek of what's coming in about 2 weeks now.
Okay.
Yeah,
2 weeks. Yeah. So we're reshaping basically the dashboard to show you basically like to put in front like the exploit and everything that we have done. Right now we didn't think it was. I mean, it's a very nice dashboard. I'll show it to you, but we're going to enhance it, and in a couple of weeks, we're coming out with a big release. So we're very excited about that.
Yep. So at the three big things you'll notice on the dashboard here are vulnerabilities, achievements, and then machines. So vulnerabilities are the way we show these is they're predictions, and they're based on the CVE database. So when we look at your machine, like a Windows machine, for example, when we enumerate, we'll look at the OS that's running, we'll look at services that are open, ports that are open, and all of those types of things. And then we'll make predictions about what vulnerabilities might be running or might be on those machines based on all of that information, like the services and everything. We do that for every machine that we're able to enumerate on your network. The achievements, I'm not going to explain the achievements because this is actually one of the things that we're currently taking out of the new dashboard. Yeah. We're going to essentially be replacing it with just attacks that we do or exploits that we perform on your machine, which I will show you now. If we click on one of these machines, like the Linux one, for example, first thing you'll see is the IP, the host name, if we're able to get it, the operating system, and then the status of the machine. So if it's powered on or if it's powered off. If we scroll down a little, you'll see our enumerations. So we run a lot of tools and everything on the network to find out all we can on your machines. So for example, we ran an enumeration here, and we found the SSH port is open. And then we can scroll down a little and see even more of the enumeration. And this is all just proof. So for the more technical people out there, this might, or for the non-technical people, this might not make a lot of sense. But this is just proof of our scanning. A lot of pen testing doesn't necessarily show what they've done. They just say what they've done. We like to show everything that we ran. And then if we scroll down a little more, we'll see weaknesses here. These are weaknesses that we find on your network or the machine specifically. So if you have an SSH port open, for example, and it allows you to use anonymous methods to log in, we'll say that here. Whether or not it's been exploited would be shown at the bottom here, where we show attacks. So these attacks or exploits are based on the CVEs or weaknesses as well that we find in your system. And then we perform these attacks to try and essentially prove that these weaknesses or vulnerabilities actually exist on your system. So for example, if you have an SSH supports weaker authentication methods, so let's say someone's able to use anonymous to log into your SSH database, we have these attacks to try and do that. And if we're able to do that, we essentially call it a real exploit, right? If we're not able to do that, then it's not as worth looking at as a actual exploited vulnerability is. If we keep scrolling down, we also show the list of ports open. So as we saw before, port 22 is open, which is the SSH port. So we'll show every port that's open here in the protocol that we found it on. And then if we keep scrolling down, we'll show the predicted vulnerabilities. If I click OK.
Now the predictive, when you run the pen test software like Genesis, right, and Sxipher, we're all about what Gabriel showed you, the attack, okay? We care about what was exploited in your network, because at the end of the day, this is what you need to show, to your client and be like, hey, listen, those things here that, our pen tester discovered, those things can be exploited, those things need to be fixed, okay? When we go down to our vulnerabilities is great to have vulnerabilities, okay, but it's not the end of all, okay? Because people get very confused about vulnerabilities. They say, I got a Windows, 2012, 2018, server, but, you're showing me vulnerability from 2012. Yeah, well, maybe, there is something that is legacy, software that uses a legacy service in there that is on, and that's why it's there. So vulnerability, you have to be careful. We're going to show you the vulnerabilities. They're going to be there on the new dashboard. They will be separated, okay? But you're going to see the vulnerabilities and be able to treat the vulnerabilities if you want. On top of that, what we're focusing on are the exploitable vulnerabilities, the things that are very dangerous, okay? Because we don't want to, you and your client really, if you get too much vulnerabilities, it's too much work on you and too much billing on your clients, and they don't accept that, that's too much, right? So we're going to really do the good job, to show you what is important, for your client and for you, to see. Basically, it's very simple, guys. It's very simple. And I've been doing cybersecurity for 23 years now. Right now, MSPs, me included, okay, we don't know what's going on in the client network. We have no visibility, okay? We put, antivirus, we put firewalls, we put EDR, whatever it is that you put, okay? But you have no visibility to see the exploitable that you have in there. Only the pen test will show you that, and that's what needs to be fixed. Because some of the clients ask, say, well, am I secure? I don't know. You have to wait until a hacker gets in, and then we'll see what we missed.
We don't want to do that, right?
And that's not an exploit, but it's the reality, and that's not an acceptable answer. But if you're honest with your client, it's like, what will you need to tell you? I don't know. With Genesis, it doesn't mean you're going to be 100% secure, because it's moving every day. You may now have time to catch up, to an exploitable, but it's going to do the work of a hacker. So by the time you close or you exploit vulnerabilities, you're going to make the job so hard of a hacker. And remember, the lazy people, they're lazy, right? They just want quick money fast, right? When the guy's going to try, all the exploits that he can try, and you already solved that, you're going to be like, okay, next, I'm going to go see someone easier, okay? That's the goal, and that's, what we put on it. That's why the insurance company says, run a pen test, because They know it's going to discourage, 99% of your hackers, and they know it's going to put the network posture in a much better place than it is right now. Okay.
So let me cut you off there, Christophe and Gabriel. So, all right. So we see the details, we see the vulnerabilities. I understand that. And I understand that you can have multiple vulnerabilities based on systems. I get all that part. If I am a IT provider or a company running this pen test, and I see this, and I see 30 different vulnerabilities, what do I do?
That's the next thing.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So the next step when you see any of these attacks or weaknesses, or even sometimes vulnerabilities, is you want to fix them, right? So if I copy this critical one, for example, and I copy the ID of the CVE, and I click OK, if I scroll up here and I click on recommendation, and I ask, how do I fix you?
And
this is the AI part that you're using right now, correct?
Oh, this
is basic. Yeah.
this is a basic AI right now. That's not the same AI that's running the pen test. Those are multiple AI. Oh yeah, this is completely different. This one is very basic AI, yeah, but it does the job. See?
Yep. So if you ask, how do I fix, and then whatever you want to say after that, right? So how do I fix the CVE ID here? How do I fix SSH support speaker authentication methods? How do I fix whatever attack we run on you? How do I fix whatever you want? You can type in here, right? So this AI will tell you exactly how to fix that issue. And you can go through this with all of the CVEs, all of the attacks that we've done, all of the weaknesses you can go through with this AI. You can ask him,
Should I ask him to more detail maybe on this one?
More details?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So for example, see the CVE ID here? You'll get recommended questions after, like, what is it, right? Because we don't know what it is. We just see CVE, right? But I need to know what it is before I can even start fixing anything, right? So here we can see CVE 2023-51385 is a vulnerability identified in OpenSSH version prior to 9.6. It involves an OS command injection. So if you give these to your technical people, if you give this ability to your technical people, they can copy and paste everything into here, ask any question they want, get the best responses, and then they can fix the issues. And so that's the next step after this. So once you run your pen test and you get your results or your initial results, you can go into your recommendation and then just ask questions away. Ask as many questions as you need, get all the answers you need, and start remediating.
And I know what you're going to, and I know what they are going to ask me. I said, well, it would be nice if we could just click on the vulnerabilities and would give us a recommendation. That's what's coming, right?
Right.
That's what's coming, guys. So you won't have to even copy paste, to recommendation. You just click on it, and then the AI will open and start, giving you answers.
Right.
Okay, great.
New version, yeah.
And so here I'll show you the report next.
Show history.
Or I'm going to show history. So with this being continuous, and we really like to sell the 24/7 aspect, we have a show history button here, which is essentially screenshots of these dashboards from the past. So as we can see, we essentially take screenshots of these dashboards, so you can go back to before time essentially, and then see the previous dashboards. So when you remediate things, like let's say I remediated this SSH problem, right? I could, for compliance reasons if needed, or just to show the client that I've done it, you can generate a report of the dashboard that had the SSH issue by going to show history and then going back. And then you can, since it's continuous, go to your most recent dashboard, and you can you can also get a report from that and say, hey, look, the SSH problem isn't here anymore, so I fixed it. So it's a very good way to check yourself, make sure you're actually fixing issues, because like Christophe said before, once you fix these issues, our system's going to pick it up, and it's not going to find that as an issue. It's not going to be able to exploit it, attack it, or anything like that.
And you're right, Gavin. And on top of that, that gives you also a where was your network at that point of time. So if you add, like a laptop for one of your clients, right, for one of his employees, you can see, before and after. And after, you're going to see where the laptop appears, and you're going to see where the laptop was not, because you have a screenshot of your network. That's what's important. You remember, guys, I told you about the camera in your network. this is what really, you know, monitors your network. This is, you know, and it's not just monitoring your network, which is what we have right now at disposal. It's just things that monitors. It monitors and, you know, really, I'm not going to say attack, you know, with the bad sense of it, you know, but it is going to attack it and, you know, test it all the time. It's going to be like, okay, let me see what we got here. Let me see what we got here all the time. That's what's important. That's really
Right.
when we try.
So I understand that. So I think the big next question that, you know, any tech provider is going to ask is, this is great. We have all this information. As a provider, I need to provide a custom branded report to my client. I see you have the generate report feature there. I understand that, but can it be custom branded to the MSP?
So I think it's coming in future.
Yeah.
But that's a very good question, Dave, actually. This is a question that we've had for the past year. And believe it or not, Dave, nobody's using, nobody's asking for it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because a pen test legally needs to be run by a third party, right? Which is exactly what that is, right? It's a third party. So a lot of MSP says, you know, they wanted to go maybe as far as co-branding, right? Putting their logo, you know, with Sxipher logo on it. But a lot of them used to they say, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, the client sees and feel that we did not do that. We're providing the services, but it is not us trying to say, oh, you got this and you got this, we're going to charge you hour to do it, you know. No, that's not what it is. It's like, listen, this is the pen test that did that. This is the audit. And this is, you know, what we have to fix. We're not making that up. This is what's going on, right? Usually people want to co-brand because, you know, want to protect your client. I've said that before. Sxipher is only selling to MSPs. So if we have anybody, it doesn't matter if your client sees the logo, because even if they call us and wants to buy a pen test, we will refuse. We only selling the channel, period. This is it, right?
Yeah, that makes 100% complete sense, and I fully understand that. All right, well, that's good to know. I'm happy about that. Okay, is there anything else in this platform that you want to show? We got about 10 minutes left, so just to make sure we're not going to run over time here.
Yeah, let's go to the report.
I'll quickly run through the report then. So if we click on the generate report button, I generated a report earlier for this pen test itself. You'll get a detailed report currently. And this report will go through essentially everything that you have on the dashboard, aside from the remediation AI, right? Because we can't put that on a PDF. So you'll see that we have the discovered hosts in your network. We have the host table. So this will show you the IP of the host, the OS version, and then the ports that were opened on that host. For example, port 22 and 8080 on this Linux machine. And we keep scrolling down. Now you'll get into the vulnerabilities. So these vulnerabilities are the CVE predictions that we mentioned before. So yeah, these are all predictions that may or may not have been exploited. Not all vulnerabilities are exploitable. And if we keep scrolling down through these lists, you'll see you have descriptions in all of these vulnerabilities. Well, where's the attacks? So these are attacks that we've tried on the machines themselves. So if any of these succeed, then you have a bigger issue than just those vulnerabilities at the top. So these are very interesting to look at here. Keep going. And then we have the duration, time, and date of the test. A very simple report. This is also something we're working on. We're working on essentially reshaping the entire dashboard and reporting system to help MSPs be able to go through everything better and just a better quality of life update.
Yeah. And so vulnerabilities also, guys, are updated every day. So every day we're updating the vulnerability stack. And so we know, you know, which one just came up, you know, every day. So every day we make sure that we are up to date with that. Okay. How do we do it? How is it so fast? And how do we do it? AI is very simple. We are utilizing the power of, you know, deep learning AI to be better. So there's one thing that's coming out, you know, in a couple of weeks. You know, we are unleashing a little bit more of the AI because we have to be careful, you know, playing with this. So the AI is going to start, you know, getting, you know, better and better and better. And as we go along, this is going to be, this is going to be very massive, because with the deep learning AI, you can imagine, you know, the thing, you know, that's going to come after that, you know. And that's what makes, you know, I'm very proud of that, because that what makes a difference, you know, with Sxipher is that we are an unscripted software, and the AI, you know, really runs the show. So every pen test is going to be a little bit different. The AI is going to learn about your network. The AI is going to start, getting, more exploit. They say, if the exploit doesn't work, I'll try this one, and I'll try this one, and then, and then keep trying. So what we care about is your network, posture, making sure that at all time is getting tested and it's getting, reviewed, and you got a good posture. So you can tell your client.
Awesome. I mean, it's fantastic. It was nice to actually see the platform. We've spoken a lot, like I said earlier on, and we know your product, we know what you do, but it was nice to actually get a bird's eye view, as per se, into the actual product and see how it works. So anyone who's watching this now in the future, the Sxipher website is down below. Go and have a look, see if it works for you, and reach out to them and see what you can do, and hopefully you can provide an additional beneficial service to your clients. Christophe, Gabriel, thank you so much for the time. Before we close right now, is there any last closing comments you'd like to say?
Yes, just be careful, when you look at pen test software, make sure it is a pen test software. Make sure it actually describes, a pen test, because a lot of them is going to do vulnerabilities. A lot of them, like the one I saw yesterday, it's just via email and then installing, agent in every computer. And that's why I said, this is not a pen test, okay?
Sure.
Right. So, but it's important to mention and know, because when you're selling that to your client and they do that against a cybersecurity insurance, they have to make sure they're actually getting a pen test, not something that resembles that, right?
Sure.
Something selling you that say the pen test and it's not. So you don't want to involve your responsibility or something that is not, basically. So that was my 2 cents of it. And then check us out, guys. 2 more weeks, a lot of things coming out. So that's going to be great.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabriel. Anything from your side?
Nothing for me.
He's a product guy.
All right. Well, thanks for the time, everyone. We hope you have a fantastic day, and I'm sure we'll be speaking soon, Christophe.
Always a pleasure, Dave.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.